Hi, this is David Wright, and I gotta get my ICTV.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Iona. I'm Kyle Byrne.
And I'm Chrissy Bookie. It's great to be back here in the studio with you.
I know Liz Marie did a great job, but I'm glad you're back.
Well, let's see what's happening inside Iona.
2 studies show that Iona contributes as much as $250 million a year to the economy of New York State. We'll speak to 2 Iona professors who co-authored one of the studies.
2 graduates have published a book that chronicles 75 years of Gale sports. ICTV has one of the first copies released to the public.
The Mirage Diner is gone. Our intrepid reporter Gus Ramirez was there at 5 a.m. to capture the teardown.
And stay tuned for your IC Gale Sports Report with Anthony Carlo, and later on some entertainment spotlight with Cassie Lina.
These stories and more in this episode of Inside Iona. According to a recent press release by the college, 2 studies find that Iona's economic impact on New Rochelle, Westchester County, and the state of New York totals as much as $250 million annually, from salaries, taxes paid, even local purchases, among others. One study was done for the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities. The other was completed by 2 Iona business professors, John Manley and Anand Shetty.
The idea of the impact study is to look beyond just the confines of the institution. So many types of institutions do these type of studies to demonstrate their impact in general on the environment, the area in which they operate. So other people in the area, like New Rochelle, are hired because Iona exists here. Not necessarily by Iona, but by those who serve Iona, those who are interactive with Iona. They have to hire more employees so as to be able to serve the demand from Iona. And that's not just the people up and down the strip that are providing restaurants, food, and other types of those services, but it's also the community of New Rochelle itself. So as you have to have more garbage collection, you have to have more other types of sanitation, and all of these workers are accounted for because you're here. And therefore that extra demand is out there.
Even the catering, for example, the food service. Now, students spend money on that, and they hire people to deliver their food, right? And then the catering service buy things from suppliers, and they would hire workers to make their supply possible. So there is a, what you call, sequential effect down the road.
On February 19th, the students of Caribbean Ancestry Club held their annual hunger banquet in the La Penta End Zone. Journalist Melissa Cornick was guest speaker. She's the founder of Human Rights Fifth Estate, an organization that brings awareness to human rights issues in the world through short documentaries. Each documentary focuses on one issue or a victim whose human rights have been violated. Shadeka Warren is the treasurer of students for Caribbean Ancestry and works for the Human Rights Fifth Estate.
She's going to be speaking today about hunger awareness. She's going to be speaking about food waste and ways to prevent food waste so that everyone on the planet can basically live a more healthier life. And we're also going to do an activity with the students where each student is going to basically be kind of from, you know, the first, second, or third world, and they'll get to kind of experience that hypothetically.
To find out more on the Human Rights Fifth Estate, visit their Facebook page listed on the bottom of your screen.
Also on February 19th, the Students for Peace and Justice Club sponsored an event in the Romita Auditorium to commemorate the lives of 3 Muslim American students who were shot in Chapel Hill. The event included a panel discussion about Muslims in a post-9/11 world. Students also mentioned the importance of interreligious dialogue. Rashid Al-Omeri was on the panel, and he says terrorism has no faith or religion.
Well, the purpose of today's event is to shed light on a situation that occurred in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and is to show others what Islam really stands for. That we stand for a unified community that not only values the life of others, but also the life of Muslimin worldwide. It will also shed light on how we carry ourselves, what we believe in, how we want society to perceive us as a whole. At the end of the day, we're not represented as other religions are, so we need like prominent figures, religious figures to stand, to be knowledgeable not only about our religion, but about other religions where they can tie stuff into. And as he stated before, interfaith dialogues will do that. For those who perceive Islam as terrorist, I say to them that they should read up on the situation. They should read why those people act the way they act, what they really should stand for. Because Islam truly preaches peace and prosperity.
Nelly's Echo from NBC's The Voice performed in the Vitanza Commons February 26 to celebrate the closing of Black History Month. ICTV's Maral Kathwari was there.
Hey guys, I'm Maral Kathwari and I'm reporting live from the Vitanza Commons, where Nelly's Echo, a singer from NBC's The Voice, has been invited to perform in the closing celebration of Black History Month.
In recent light of the events that are taking place in our modern world, Black history is almost a necessity to remind our nation of the goals our civil rights leaders left behind.
So you're on season 3, you're on Team Christina. If I remember correctly, you got quite a few chairs to turn around. And remember Adam Levine turned around for you, right? CeeLo Green turned around?
Just Adam and Christina.
Just Adam and Christina, all right. What was it like working with Team Christina?
It was an amazing experience because I got to be validated by my peers. They turned around and said, hey, we approve of your voice. But even more important than that was I got to see the people behind the personas. So I got to see the real Christina Aguilera. So just a human being like you and I, a fantastic human being like you and I.
Can you describe some of the genre of music that you cover in some of your albums?
I cover it all. I like it all. I like from heavy metal to country. I love it all, honestly. And but what I tend to gravitate more towards when I perform is stuff that touches the soul. You know, like soul music, blues, jazz, a little bit of pop, a little bit of rock and roll.
How long have you been singing for, and when did you start?
I started singing yesterday. No, I'm just joking. I started singing ever since I could remember. I actually remember when I was a little kid, probably like 6, 7 years old. I was in church with my family, and the choir was singing. And the choir was made up of primarily middle-aged adults. And I cried and begged my mom to let me go sing with them. So that is my first recollection of singing in an organized setting. But I've sang all my life. I love it.
Can you describe some of your background, like where you're from and where you grew up?
So I was born in Nigeria. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
This is far away.
I was born in Nigeria, but I came here in 1996 as a political refugee. So we had to flee our country because our lives were in danger. So we came here as political refugees, and we've lived in Baltimore, Maryland ever since.
Right, and you're here as for the closing ceremony of Black History Month, and we're celebrating African American lives, men's lives, women's lives.
Yeah.
What do you want our students to know, or something that you want to share in celebration of Black history and African American people?
I think Black history is American history too. Let's be clear about that. But I also think that, especially coming from a different geography, Nigeria, and coming here, I think my advice to everybody, not just the blacks, is don't get stuck in the mental prison or physical prison that you find yourself in. There's a whole big world out there to explore. I think ignorance is what keeps us as people in general, not just black people, just people in general, stuck where we are. So once you go out there and educate yourself, stay in school like her, and educate yourself and travel the world and see what's out there, your mind becomes open and exposed to what's out there, and then you can be all that you can be. So my advice to a lot of, especially young college students, is to explore the world, travel, see what's out there, get out from your confines, and change the world one person at a time.
That's great advice, thank you. And lastly, do you have Adam Levine's phone number, and can I have it?
Adam, should I give it to her?
Please.
Well, let me know and I'll give it to her if you give me a yes or no, all right?
Okay, great. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2006 graduates Peter Coleman and Jeff Castellano just published a book titled Maroon and Gold Legacy, chronicling 75 years of Iona College sports. The 208-page book coincides with Iona's 75th anniversary. Coleman and Castellano conducted 130 interviews and invested $10,000 of their own money to prepare and publish the book. ICTV talked to Senior Vice President Paul Sutera about the publication.
Two of our alums came about 2 years ago to the college and said, we'd like to write a book about 75 years of Iona athletics. And in that, we'd like to interview a number of individuals that participated in the athletic experience, that have been around it, administrators, alumni, and really kind of tell that whole story in its entirety. And so that's what this first book, Maroon and Gold Legacy, does. And then the other book will be a book that'll come out in September. September 19th, 1940 is when the college opened. And so before that historic day, 75 years later, this book, which will be Iona College's full story, will come out. Brother Quinn, which many of our alumni, administrators, faculty, and staff remember, wrote the first 50 years of Iona. And Brother Dunkak has taken the liberties to do a lot of the research for those next 25, and those cumulative put together will tell our 1940 through present day history.
The book costs $27.50 and can be purchased at the men's home basketball games or through their Facebook page listed at the bottom of your screen. Over winter break, dozens of Iona students traveled to cities far and wide to do mission work. I went to India with 16 other students. We visited Calcutta and Delhi, spending most of our time interacting with the children in the Christian Brothers schools. It was a trip I'll never forget, busy, exhausting, and eye-opening.
So Kyle, what would you say surprised you the most with your trip?
Well, I think what surprised me the most was the amount of poverty I seen. We went to, the kids at the Christian Brothers schools brought us to their homes in the slums. And it's very common to see people going to the bathrooms in the streets. And that's something that you're not really used to in the West. And the pollution, oh my goodness. You can't see in the distance, and when you blow your nose, black comes out because there's so much pollution in the air. So that was probably one of the most eye-opening experiences for me.
So what would you say was your biggest takeaway from India?
Well, a moment that I'll never forget was going with Jim, who is not a Christian brother, but he lives with the Christian Brothers. Every night he goes and gives food and blanket to the homeless at the train station. And we tagged along with him, and we literally walked on the tracks, because in India there's no order. That's common for people to just get off the train and walk on the train tracks. And meanwhile, trains are passing by while I'm crossing the tracks. And there was a homeless man sleeping in between the tracks, and I gave him a blanket. And he was so thankful that he put his hand on my forehead and blessed me. And that was so powerful. And I'll never forget that moment.
Thank you for sharing that.
And you recently went on a mission trip to Nazareth Farm in West Virginia. What was that like?
Well, so there were 8 students, a leader, and a moderator, and it took us about 7 hours to get there. But yeah, we traveled to the Appalachian Mountains, and we stayed on a farm, and we got broken up into different work groups, and we learned 4 cornerstones at Nazareth Farm, one of them being simplicity. So learning really, how to live simple, especially with no technology, maybe not flushing the toilet as often, or running much water, if any water at all. And, eating the portion size that you're given and not really asking for any more than that. And then, during the day, we'd go to different work sites and work with the families, and we had a different project every day. And it was an experience that I will never forget, just impacting those lives and helping them, because they don't have much there at the farm or within Salem, West Virginia in general. So it was just nice to walk into their homes. They were so welcoming. They fed us food. They gave us, coffee or tea or whatever we wanted, because it was so cold, sometimes below, in the negatives. So it was really cold, but it was worth it. One day we got stuck in the snow, but it's all about, you know, kind of getting to know each other and growing from the experience in general.
So what was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway was definitely when we got stuck in the snow. We literally, our truck fell off the side of the road. We were stuck in a blizzard for 3 hours.
You had to push it up the hill?
I didn't have to push it up the hill. We had another truck come and kind of dig us out, but just growing with the team bonding and getting to know each other a lot better than we anticipated going into the trip was awesome, and just making an impact on the people's lives at the farm.
Well, thanks for sharing. It sounds like you had an impactful experience.
I did.
So now here's Anthony Carlo with your IC Gale Sports Report.
Hello everyone, I'm Anthony Carlo and this is your Iona Gale Sports Report. It is official. The men's basketball team has won the MAC regular season championship with a 69-68 win over the Monmouth University Hawks. The Gales erased a 16-point deficit in the second half. Iona head coach Tim Cluse gave the Maroon Maniacs the credit in the pulsating comeback.
They're the reason we won. They inspired our guys, they inspired the players, the staff, everybody, and they didn't give up on us. When we got down like that, people could have walked out of the gym or just sat there and said, what's going on? They didn't. They cheered for you. Come out to start the second half, they were into it. They're yelling at guys in the foul line on the other team when it's a 14-point game. They were really impressive to me, and they're the best.
English has become accustomed to late-game heroics. With 33.2 seconds left, he completed a three-point play the old-fashioned way. This gave Iona the one-point lead it would protect in its final defensive stand. English had 16 points to go along with freshman Cedric Casimir's 17. Iona senior David Lowry poured in 24 points as the high man for the Gales. Staying on the hardwood, the women's basketball team crowned its very own D'Amica Martinez as the MAC's all-time leading scorer in women's basketball. The senior guard drilled a triple against Marist with just over 18 minutes remaining in the first half to set the record. How fitting it be a three-pointer, as in this game she'd also become the first player in league history to pile up 300 trifectas. The scoring mark was held for 20 years and belonged to Loyola's Patty Stoffi. She had 2,467 points. Iona would go on to suffer, though, a 59-54 loss to one of the MAC's top contenders. They returned home on Sunday the 22nd to host the MAC's best team, the Quinnipiac Bobcats. They would also fall victim in this one, 79-72. Despite Martinez's 29 points, the Gales dropped to 11-8 in conference play. The men's baseball team only managed to win 1 out of 3 in the Blue Devil Classic. The Gales were routed 12-1 against Hartford. They responded well, however, slamming Delaware State 9-2. Right fielder Kyle DeVico had a day, going 4 for 5 with 6 RBIs. Junior pitcher Mariano Rivera got the win, improving to 1-1. The Gales fought hard in the final game of the weekend against Duke University. They came up empty in a 1-0 shutout. Graduate pitcher Eddie Macaluso suffered the loss. He went 7 innings, only giving up 1 earned run on 3 hits. This is Anthony Carlo with your Iona Gale Sports Report.
Thanks, Anthony. Now let's turn it over to Cassie Lana, who's got your entertainment news.
Thanks, Kyle and Chrissy. There has been tons of exciting things going on in the entertainment world, and we'll start it right off with the 87th Academy Awards ceremony. This year's Oscars was hosted by Neil Patrick Harris and was filled with great wins and performances. Lady Gaga took the spotlight with her beautiful tribute to The Sound of Music in honor of the 50th anniversary of the film. Other performances included John Legend, Jennifer Hudson, Tim McGraw, and more. The big winners this year included Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, as Best Picture, Eddie Redmayne for actor in a leading role, and Julianne Moore for actress. This was Harris's first time hosting the award show, and while some thought he did a great job, students here at Iona had a different opinion.
I thought the Oscars was kind of boring. I didn't really think Neil Patrick Harris was a good host for it. He seemed kind of too sarcastic, wasn't exactly funny in my opinion. The only positives was Lady Gaga and John Legend.
This year's Oscars, I didn't think they were all that great. After the first 5 minutes, I turned something else on just because I got bored of them. I also thought Neil Patrick Harris was okay. I liked Ellen last year. She would be better for the future, I think.
Another Twitter feud has broken out, and this time multiple people got involved. It all began when model Amber Rose spoke out against Kylie Jenner and Tyga's rumored relationship. Rose stated her negativity towards Kylie and her family, and not too long after, both Khloe and Kim Kardashian got involved. Of course, no one would expect anything different from Kanye when he got involved backing up the entire Kardashian family. As of now, the tweets have gone to rest, but there's definitely some bitterness left between West and Rose.
That's Tiger and Kylie. What do you think about that? Do you think Kylie's too young for him?
She's
Kylie's
17.
Bash's age.
The law thinks that she's too young for
She's
him.
a baby. She needs to go to bed at 7
Yes.
o'clock and
Damn.
relax.
Who wants
Yeah.
a girlfriend that you got to make sure what her calcium intake is?
Nah, I'm over that. That's ridiculous. He should be ashamed of himself. That's how I feel, for sure.
What happens if you run into them in LA and, you know, whatever?
I ain't speaking to them at all. That's ridiculous. He has a beautiful woman and a baby and left that for a 16-year-old that just turned 17. Like, nah.
Lastly, it was announced that the Apple iOS 8.3 will be introducing 300 new emojis, including racially diverse options. Apple said there will now be 6 different skin tones to choose from, along with more relationship and gadget-related emojis. Iona students were excited to hear about this new addition and can't wait to see the emojis firsthand.
I think that the diverse emojis are a great idea because emojis make for a really fun conversation. So when you use like different ones, diverse ones, I think that that's going to add more fun to conversations, and people can really experiment with different ones. So I think it's going to be really interesting.
I think that the new diverse Twitter emoji should be a great addition to the emoji family. Everybody will be able to express themselves, whatever their skin color or whatever. So it'll be super fun to see what people come up with.
I think it's going to be really cool for us to have diverse emojis because a lot of people have been complaining about not seeing themselves represented in the emojis, and they don't really feel like the emojis are a good representation of the diverse culture that we live in. I think it'll be really cool to even just acknowledge that we have diversity and to be able to use those emojis in everyday texting use.
That's all for entertainment news. I'm Cassie Lina. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Cassie. Talking about entertainment, the Iona Players will present You're in Town the Musical on March 6th, 7th, and 8th. Directed by Greg Kotis, here's the story of a town that outlaws private toilets, where citizens must pay to use public restrooms owned and operated by the Urine Good Company. You're in Town comes to Dorley Hall March 6th, 7th, and 8th.
This is your town. What does you hear? You're in town. It's in the sense that you're in town. All by design.
I guess my favorite thing about this production is during the rehearsal process, getting to see all of the kids come together and form friendships and bonds and see them celebrate after the show. I think it's a really special thing, and I am honored to be welcomed here into the Iona Players family.
The thing I like most about the show is the cast that I work with. Everyone shares the stage, and without all of the people that are on stage, the show wouldn't be the same. Every single person really made the show what it is, and as my last musical, my senior year with the Players, I'm just so happy that I had such a wonderful cast to be with.
Gale Pride had their annual No Hate photo shoot in the End Zone on February 13th. This event promotes equality for marriage, for gender, and for human rights. The photo campaign was created in response to Proposition 8, the California law that prohibited same-sex marriage.
I think it's like a really, really good cause. There's a lot of people in the world who really feel ostracized because of who they are and who they love. We're all people. Love is love. It doesn't matter who you are, who you love, who you don't love. As long as you're happy, then who cares?
On February 11th, also in the End Zone, students gathered to get information about Relay for Life. This annual event happens on Saturday, April 18th through Sunday, April 19th. It's an overnight fundraising effort for cancer that takes place in over 500 colleges throughout the United States. Iona is proud to be one of them. Caitlin King is the president of Colleges Against Cancer.
So our kickoff event, it takes place about 2 months before Relay for Life, and it's just to get people more excited, more involved, and more information about Relay for Life at Iona. So it's really just to pump up the school. So far we have about close to $1,500, and we have about 90 participants and 12 teams.
How much are you looking to raise?
I think we just decided tonight we're looking to raise $70,000.
The evening is overnight. This is representative of a cancer patient's journey. The setting sun represents the diagnosis. Nighttime represents the darkest part of the journey. The treatment, the side effects, and the uncertainty. The rising sun and the dawn represents the end of the journey, the victory over cancer.
Well, it's officially gone for good. On Thursday, February 19th, the Mirage Diner was torn down. Demolition started at 5 a.m. Students woke up for their 8 a.m. classes to see the gated area under construction and the building knocked down. Cameraman Gus Ramirez braved the cold to capture this moment. And Anthony Carlo tells the story.
Hi, I'm Anthony Carlo in New Rochelle in front of what used to be the front steps of the Mirage Diner. It was a popular place in the Iona community to come anytime during the day or night to get something to eat and gather with friends.
Well, when I first came to Iona, the diner was definitely like a big selling point for me. You know, it was very convenient that it was open for 24 hours. So in case it was early in the morning and I didn't feel like making breakfast, I was always able to go over and get some eggs.
There's nothing that's open late at night on the weekends. I can't have my favorite Cobb salad or wraps.
The New Rochelle landmark was torn down as part of a plan to develop the area along North Avenue near Iona College.
But I'm looking forward to the new building because when I'm a junior, I could probably move in there. It'd be great.
The whole plan is part of Iona College President Dr. Nayer's motive to increase quality and quantity on the campus. Although the Iona students will miss the convenience of the Mirage Diner and the food, with the college's plan for expansion, they do have new dorms to look forward to. In New Rochelle, I'm Anthony Carlo.
Thanks, Anthony. Shortly after the Christmas holiday, the Iona College Fine Performing Arts Department lost a beloved friend and colleague, Catherine Mapp. Professor Mapp directed the dance program and curated the Iona College Dance Ensemble, both of which she pioneered at the college. I joined the dance ensemble and declared minor in dance this year. If it were not for Catherine Mapp, I would not have this opportunity, so thank you, Professor. On Tuesday, February 24th, students and faculty gathered in the faculty dining room in Spelman Hall to celebrate the life and legacy of their dear friend.
Well, this is a gathering and a remembrance for our colleague in the Fine and Performing Arts Department, Professor Catherine Mapp, who was such a force, positive force, and a much beloved individual in the school. So we're here to remember and reflect on her accomplishments and her life and the achievements that she made at the college.
Well, that's all the news for this episode of Inside Iona.
To stay current on what's happening inside Iona, find ICTV on social media.
Thanks to our crew from the Digital Production Workshop class. For all of us at ICTV, I'm Kyle Byrne.
And I'm Chrissy Bookie. See you next time.